So a few days back, when we had a session on health and when we were just talking about different kinds of protocols that we look on while training as astronaut candidates, we talked about stinging nettle, which is one of a really vastly growing shrub that is found in Brazil, said to be poisonous. And this clicked because stinging nettle is one of a really famous dish here in Nepal, which I wanted to share with all the crew members that are here. So stinging nettle, just a brief introduction, it has been a staple in herbal medicine since ancient times. So here in Nepal, it has not just been food, not just been a part of the ancient culture, but it has also been a staple in herbal medicine, which can definitely be researched about this as well, since it's really available in vast amount. Ancient Egyptians used stinging nettles to treat arthritis and lower back pain, while Roman troops rubbed it on themselves to help stay warm. So these are a few of the things that people in ancient times used to use stinging nettle as. Its scientific name, Urtica dioica, comes from the Latin word uru, which means to burn, because its leaf can cause a temporary burning sensation, which leads people to think that it might be poisonous or it might be harmful for our body. The leaves have hair-like structures that sting and also produce itching, redness, and swelling, which is a known fact. So this is a picture from Nepal where people are cultivating the stinging nettle. It's called sisnu in Nepali. So basically what people do are they put on gloves, they put on sticks, and they just cultivate sisnu or stinging nettles from the really roots of the plant. So what we eat and what we consume is the cooked part of the raw stinging nettles that are found. So as you can see on these pictures as well, that people are using gloves and sticks given its stinging nature. And this is how it's cultivated in the rural area, especially in the rural areas of Nepal. These are some of the properties that stinging nettle has. It has food functional properties as well. That is antioxidant activity, anti-inflammatory activity, hypoglycemic activity, and cardiovascular protective activity. Here in Nepal, even though it's consumed in large amount, there has not been any specific health research on this. So it's really hard to believe, or it's really hard to have scientific evidences to these, since these are just few of the informations that I found online. But if possible, having a good research on this and utilizing these resources in terms of health, in terms of medicine especially, would be a really good factor as well. Stinging nettle leaves and root provide a wide variety of nutrients. This includes vitamins, minerals, fat, amino acid, polyphenols, and pigments. These are said to act as antioxidants in the body. And there are some researches which have been done by Indian people, and there were some I found online, done by Egyptians, I think, that showed that stinging nettles might be able to reduce inflammation. It may treat enlarged prostate symptoms, may treat hay fever, may lower blood pressure, and may aid blood sugar control. But these are all of the mays, and there has not been yet much of scientific proofs to these. But since they contain a wide variety of nutrients, it is believed that the nutrition in the leaves contributes to these kinds of things. So consuming dried or cooked stinging nettle is generally safe. So this is what we consume here. We consume it cooked, but there are a few, if any, side effects. These barbs can inject an arrow of chemicals such as acetylcholine, histamine, serotonin, leukotrienes, formic acid. These compounds can cause rashes, bumps, hives, and itchiness when you are stinged by it. And in rare cases, people may also have severe allergic reaction, which can be life-threatening as well. However, these chemicals diminish as the leaves are processed, meaning that you shouldn't experience mouth or stomach irritation when eating dried or cooked stinging nettles. But it is advised and it is recommended that pregnant women should avoid consuming stinging nettle because it may trigger uterine contractions, which can raise a risk of miscarriage. So overall, when we talk about this, it is quite risky if you go to the bushes and you get itchiness by getting stinged on by the leaves. But if you dry them properly, if you cook them properly, then you will not be experiencing any mouth or stomach irritation, but the chemical properties and the researchers still need to be scientifically verified. So its significance in Nepal is that It is said to protect kidney and gallbladder health, lower inflammation, increase muscle mass, regulate hormonal activity, and prevent diabetes, lower blood pressure, soothe hemorrhoids, and improve respiratory conditions. I talked to a few local people as well, a few of the health doctors, especially some Ayurvedic doctors who focus on ancient practices and herbal medicines. And they said that if you have lower blood pressure, if you have diabetes, if you have any kind of inflammation diseases in your body, then sisnu is a really good nutritional food that you can consume. So according to the herbal doctors who practice herbal medicines, this is what they had to say. So this is the dish that we eat here in Nepal. It's called healthy nettle soup. So it's basically prepared with a combination of edible wide varieties of nettle leaves and okra, and it is a typical Himalayan cuisine served with rice or dido, as you can see in the pictures, or it is also served as thick broth with potatoes. So many wild varieties of nettles are grown, but it is said that only a few of them are edible. We only have one kind of stinging nettle here in Nepal, so that is the stinging nettle that people harvest and have, especially in the winter season, since it keeps the body really warm. So, lastly, to conclude, there is a great Nepalese poet who, in his epic Munamadan, so this comes in part of the cultural significance. This is one of the poem that really is really everyone in Nepal knows. So, what he basically says here in this poem is that sacks of gold are like collected dirt on your hands, and no one has to do anything with these wealth, but it is better to eat nettles green and cultivate happiness in your heart. So basically, it's a literal translation of the poem, and this was a poem from hundreds of years ago. So this just demonstrates that people have been having stinging nettle here in Nepal since a long time. So yeah, I just wanted to keep this information ahead, and I will be ending my presentation for today. Thank you.
Ira Sharma, have you already consumed in your family some meals with nettle or
Yes, actually, these kind of meals are really famous in our families. So especially in the winter time, these kinds of healthy needle soup is really recommended. I personally also have consumed it, and it is quite a
uh,
weird taste, I would say, but it is believed to be healthy, and my family really hopes for me to have it, especially on the winter time.
it's when used in a mixer, the leaves lost the hairs. How to when it's prepared what happens with the hairs of the leaves? What
So
happens?
basically, first, the people harvest it. They sell it in bunch of like maybe a few grams. And while so basically, there whenever we cook any kind of leaves like these, we go through a process where we just I don't know how to explain it, but we basically first clean it first of all, and it has to go through a boiling procedure, which definitely removes a lot of the hair and a lot of the stinginess in it. So once it is boiled, it is not as sharp as it is when it is raw. And after it, you just cook it with normal Nepali spices, and you keep in salt, and then you add potato if you like. So once you boil it, it directly goes into boiling. So there is no other process. Like if you have to look at it through your hand, you need to wear your gloves or through sticks or through spoons, and you just separate whatever could be eaten, or some, if any rubbish leaves are there, you just separate it, you boil it, and then you put in the spices, you fry it if you want, but it is normally eaten with soup. So yeah.
Okay, okay. Some questions for Irashama about the nettle or comments?
Yeah, what do you guys do to avoid the risk of getting poisoned? You say that the plant is sometimes poison, right? So, what do you do to avoid that and to get the beneficial part of it?
Here in Nepal, so there are, so as I mentioned, there are many wild varieties of nettle as well. But the ones we get in Nepal, it's of a one specific variety, and it's called Ghariyo Sisnu. So it's basically a variety of nettle that is not termed as poisonous. So I believe the ones that we consume here in Nepal, the ones we boil, the ones we harvest, are not really poisonous. But there again has been no specific scientific evidence as to whether they're poisonous or not, especially the ones that we find here in Nepal, because as I mentioned, we've been consuming it for a lot of time. It's a really ancient dish, and as you could see, the ancients and the Romans also used to have these stinging nettles. So the ones that we find here, the kind of species called Corioscisno, are not really poisonous for us. But there might be varieties, some wild varieties, just like mushrooms, how mushrooms are poisonous, some varieties and some varieties that you can consume. So for now, the ones we harvest here in Nepal, we don't really go to a differentiation process as to differentiate which of variety it is. But there might be wild varieties in other countries, such as Brazil, that I think Dr. Adriana mentioned a few days ago. That could be a poisonous variety as well. So that should be looked upon on which kind of wild variety or which kind of variety it is in general.
Thank you
I
so
have
much.
a question too. So going back to the other presentation you had, how did you make the exterior CAD drawings?
So are you talking about the levels?
No, the one before that, I was very interested. The let's see.
I think I got what you meant to say. I'll
Mhm.
just go to the slide as well. Okay, is this one?
Yes, this one. Yeah, the texture, it looks very good, very interesting.
So I first developed the structure, which is the oval-like structure, the cave-like structure in CAD itself. Then there are options where we can, it's in Fusion 360, and there are options where you can put in appearances. So there are options that you can download from the internet and add it as well. Talking about the wires that you can see around the doors, those I had to put in from AI. So these are actually AI generated, the wires and all the pipes that you can see. But the texture above, you can add it as appearance in the 3D modeling itself. But the wires, I had to add it separately from AI.
Yeah, very good job. I really liked the design so far.
And one last question about the second part about Nettle. Do you believe that Nettle would be possible to would be interesting for the future about have like a Nettle in a greenhouse on Mars or Moon? What do you think?
Definitely, because as you could see, that stinging nettle has a lot of nutritional properties. So, if we're talking about health and nutrition, and if we're talking about the amount of nutrition that a queue must have, it provides a lot of nutrition that a queue normally needs to have. So, along with having the hydroponics research, we could have some stinging nettle brewed up. So basically here, the only problem would be to cook it, for which you would need, again, a lot of water so that it gets boiled down quickly. So that could be an issue. But given the rate that I've seen, it normally grows in any kind of conditions here in Nepal. So the environmental conditions or the property that it needs of soil, water, those kind of properties might not be a problem. That's my personal opinion, but I will definitely have to look on it. But yes, this could be an option that we could look on, because since it also has health and nutritional properties and could be used as medicines. So if there are any scientific research done on the future on this, and if it is proven to be really beneficial, then definitely we can look on it as well.
Okay. Okay, thanks so much. Let us conclude the recording.